All right, so we're going to be looking at Japanese expansion and foreign policy in 1931 through 38. Um, One of the things, this is just a little bit brief background as to what had happened. So Japan had tried, before they actually invaded Manchuria, they had actually tried before and failed. But one of the reasons why they wanted to do this is, as you know, the Great Depression caused Japan to want to expand because they needed to accommodate their growing population. Also, they needed more resources. So more land means the potential to have more resources to sell and to make money. Also, they wanted to take more control. They wanted to keep China from getting control of these regions because they just don't want their enemies to grow, right? Um, and so they had tried doing this when they tried to assassinate Japanese Guangdong army tried to assassinate Jiang Zulin, the leader, him. And when they did that, they would hope that they did it secretly, obviously. They'd hope that his army, Zhang's army, would retaliate and be like, "What the f? Like, we know you guys are responsible for this, so we're gonna attack you." And then Japan would have no choice but to defend themselves, right? And then that way they can basically invade the region and be like, "Well, we had to do it because we had to, we had to defend ourselves." Unfortunately for Japan, Zhang's army didn't really respond to the fact that he was assassinated. They just kind of were like, oh well, I guess. I have no idea why they didn't respond or get. I'm sure they were angry, but they didn't. They weren't angry enough to go attack Japan. Maybe they knew what they were up to. Another thing is the Emperor Showa had no idea this was going to happen. He was shook when he realized what Japan's army did, and he wasn't really, really that happy with that. The Manchurian incident, um, Manchuria still remained a priority, even though the first time they failed. They went in again September 18th, 1931, with a bomb. They exploded this bomb. They put a bomb secretly. They exploded it, and then they said, "Wow, look at that! It's Chinese terrorists, bandits who are coming in to steal our resources from the railway, and we need to go in and attack them." And so that's basically what they did. They pretended like it wasn't them. They pretended like it was, Chinese citizens, bandits, and they went in and were like, "We need to go defend ourselves." And so that's what they did. The Guangdong army goes in and invades and basically starts taking all of these cities around the region and taking control of them. Next part. So, other reasons behind it. Chiang's army, again, they were trying to unify China into one, and China and Japan did not want that. They did not want China to have full control of Manchuria. So that's one reason that why they wanted to have go into Manchuria so that they can have the resources, and China did not. Japan wanted to stop anti-Japanese feelings. Again, remember they were going into these regions, taking over these regions to get more land for Japan, and people started to hate the Japanese because of that. And then there was growing concerns over the Soviet Union in Manchuria, thinking that the Soviet Union was going to go in, and they were really, really close, and they just did not want the Soviet Union to have control over Manchuria. This is where Russia. During this time period, we see Russia transition from Russia to the USSR, the Soviet Union. So they're communist, and Japan hates communists, and they didn't want communism to spread over Manchuria and then potentially spread to Japan. The Great Depression, again, we need land. Japan needs land. They see Manchuria as a cheap way to provide for that and to provide for resources that they can sell. And then again, the Guangdong army believed that this was their destiny to expand Japan, the Japanese empire, into Manchuria and beyond that. So that's what they were doing. Next part. So now that Japan has control over Manchuria, they rename it into Manchukuo. They go in guns blazing, and once they're done and they have control, they say, "Yeah, we free you guys. Congrats. We liberated all of Manchuria, and now you can be independent," which they weren't, because basically Japan had full control of this new state now called Manchukuo, previously Manchuria. It's renamed from Manchuria to Manchukuo. Japan has control of it. Now Manchukuo is seen as a puppet state because they do everything that Japan wants. Nothing is done without Japan's permission. Everything is done under the best interest of Japan. So everybody sees what's happening. Nobody buys it, and saying that Manchukuo is now this new independent nation, it's not true. Japan has full control of Manchukuo. The Shanghai incident is something that arose as a response to what happened in Manchuria. So basically, you have these Chinese individuals who are pissed off at Japan, and rightfully so. You see Japan coming into Manchuria and into these other Chinese territories and coming in and doing whatever they want. And so people don't like the Japanese individuals. So you have riots breaking out. You have people coming in and boycotting Japanese goods. So Japan, they're like, well, we got to respond. We're going to send in Marines to restore order. So they send in Marines, they send in bombers, and they destroy parts of China. Um, you have the warlords, the mafia, and Zhang's army unifying to fight against Japanese, but it's not really working. It's not really working at all. So Shanghai, this incident where Japan is bombing the city of Shanghai because of these riots, eventually the fighting stops March 3rd, 1932, because the League of Nations steps in and they're like, all right, this has got to end. And they turn it into a demilitarized zone. Japan had hoped that this would be another region they can have full control over, but because the League of Nations stepped in, they couldn't really have full control. They were disappointed in that sense, but they still use this as propaganda to say, see how strong and powerful our Japanese army is? You better support the Japanese army. So that's what they were feeding into the Japanese citizens. Next part. So Japan and China's response to Manchuria. How did Japan respond? How did China respond? So the political response. Again, Emperor Showa had no idea that this was something the Guangdong army was going to do. There was already a lot of political instability with assassinations of prime ministers. As you can see, the long list: 1930, 31, 31 again, either resigning or being assassinated. 1932, another assassination. All of these assassinations made it clear that basically democracy in Japan was basically not going to happen. It was going to come to an end. Anything that was built under the Taisho era was over. Um, Next section, Japan's population's response. So because 100K Japanese soldiers had died during the Russo-Japanese War, Japan basically put out the propaganda of this whole thing in Manchuria needs to happen because we're not going to let these soldiers die in vain. They're not going to, we're not going to take for granted any of this and their efforts and their patriotic, actions of going to get more land for us. And so they're trying to convince Japanese citizens that this is a good thing, that what the Guangdong army is doing is for the well-being of Japan's future. And, we sacrificed so many lives for this, so get behind it. The government claimed the Guangdong army was, again, only defending what they had won over. And, there were those in Japan who were okay with this. They thought that Manchuria was rich in resources, and because we want Japan to grow, we need to expand to these areas. On the other hand, you had individuals who were not happy with this because they saw Manchuria as a poor region who was going to need a lot of help. Therefore, Japan was going to need to pour in a lot of money into the region, so it wasn't worth it. Next part, we're almost done. So how about China? How does China respond to Manchuria? Obviously pissed off, right? Zhang, the leader of the army in China, basically had to give up because he knew his army was not a match for Japan's Guangdong army, who was well trained. Aside from that, China's army was split in the sense that they were fighting the communists in China. China also did not like the communists. And so basically that's what they were doing. They were fighting the communists. So they didn't really have the manpower, and they were more focused on the communists than anything Japan was doing. Also, most of the soldiers in China were from the southern part of China. Therefore, they were unfamiliar with the northern region of Manchuria. So again, another disadvantage that they were in. Basically, what Zhang had hoped was, all right, Japan took Manchuria. We're just gonna have to take this L, guys. Hopefully that's all they want and that's it. They're trying to do the whole appeasement thing, which is something that happened in Germany with Hitler, which we'll look at when we get to Hitler. But yeah, it's like Zhang told the Chinese citizens, like, let's just let them have it. Hopefully they'll stay happy and leave us alone and we'll stop, which we know that didn't happen because of Shanghai. And then we'll look at other situations that also happened in China where Japan's trying to take all these territories. Last slide. All right, so again, from the Shanghai incident, Chinese citizens were not happy with what was happening. Again, the riots, China comes in, bombs, and they're trying to take a whole another region. So obviously they were not satisfied with Manchuria. So Chinese individuals began boycotting Japanese goods, banks, factories, anything that was from Japan, they boycotted. They hated Japan at this point. Chinese men demanded that to fight. They're like, enlist me, send me off to fight. I want to kill those Japanese individuals who are those Japanese soldiers who are out here trying to take our land. And women also wanted to volunteer, not as soldiers, but as nurses, basically to heal any Japanese soldiers who got hurt during the fight. But still, Jiang did nothing. Even though his population was angry, Jiang said like, "Hey, you know what? Like, we just have to let them have this, because if we challenge them and we keep losing, they're going to keep taking our stuff." So our hope is that if Japan will be satisfied with Manchuria, well, we aren't happy about it, but we can pretend that they aren't there. We can pretend that this is all they're going to want and hope that this is all they're going to want.